what we know about BlackRock is they're the third largest economic entity in the world. We brought you a fantastic story about how they've done a deal with Ukraine to rebuild Ukraine after the war, setting up corporate contracts, construction contracts. We know that BlackRock is an extraordinarily powerful entity, so these allegations that BlackRock engage in the
allegedly
potentially bribery and bias, acquiring biases from, shall we say, participants in the political game is potentially groundbreaking. One of the things we wanted to point out that the individual subject, the guy that's, the recipient of the sting there, the person who's made these revelations, he's not really important. Do you agree with me? Because haven't you just always known that? Isn't it a little bit like the Epstein story? Even though you're astonished to learn that all these powerful figures apparently have relationships with Epstein and been on his jets and have been on his list and have had all these chats and have accepted his money and have lobbied for him to donate to their campaign funds, including the woman that was criticising dear Taibbi and Schellenberger. It's a confirmation of what we already suspect is true. Powerful economic entities bypass democratic process in order to pursue their agenda. Let me know if it's simply a confirmation of what you know to be true. Nevertheless, let's have a look. Me and Gareth Roy here, my on-screen assistant, will be breaking down this story and analysing the true power of BlackRock and the veracity of these claims. Also, will you see this? Let me know in the chat if you think you're going to see this story on CNN. Let me know if you think you're going to see this story on MSNBC. Why don't they cover these stories? Do you think BlackRock might own some shares in Comcast, maybe? Do you think that's a possibility? Let's have a look at the video that's causing all these trending the contretemps right now. Let's have a look.
All of these financial institutions, they buy politicians. You can take this big ton of money, and then you can start.
These whistleblowers are getting younger, aren't they? Look at that buddy boy Jack Texera, the Pentagon Papers lad. How old was he? 19?
Yeah.
20? Who's giving them these jobs and access to all of this stuff?
Well, I don't know. I've no idea. I mean, I don't know if you can call him a whistleblower. Maybe an inadvertent whistleblower.
Oh, he's not blowing a whistle.
He's definitely not
He's
doing
like
that.
someone who accidentally whistles when they talk.
Right.
He's about the age of Bad Graphics Jack.
Yeah, those people that when they talk go shh. Does that?
Here, you know what BlackRock?
They've got a gap in their teeth.
BlackRock, they're of course giving a lot of money to the politicians. You're inadvertently blowing a whistle. I didn't know you was filming that.
To buying people. I work for a company called BlackRock. Let me tell you, it's not who's the president. It's who's controlling the wallet.
You can tell he's young, because that's the sort of thing you say when, hey, guess what, man? Thanksgiving is a celebration of stealing the country from the native people. BlackRock, they're the bad guys in all of us.
And you know he's talking to a woman. The lady operating this sting is a woman, so he's blatantly trying to impress her with language like that.
BlackRock, I pull all the strings back there. I actually am establishing some deals right now with Zelensky. Oh, he's on the phone now. Oh, no, I think there's a problem with the line. Oh, no, that is him. Yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah.
Should we have a look?
So it's the
And who's that?
The hedge funds, BlackRock, the banks. These guys want campaign financing. Yep, you can buy your candidates. Obviously, we have the system in place. First, there's the senators, and these guys are cheap. You got 10 grand, you can buy a senator. I can give you 500K.
He's a little braggart, isn't he? I don't want to focus on the lad, because he's just some lad. He's just working in recruitment, isn't he? He's not actually the leader of BlackRock.
It's not Larry Fink.
It's not Larry Fink out there. Larry Fink would keep his mouth shut. I'd imagine he knows what he's doing, dear old Larry Fink. What will happen, I suppose, and let me know in the comments in the chat, join us on Rumble, press the red button, is that BlackRock will deny the credibility of the story, say that they're not really associated with him. It'll become a tribalised debate and argument, and the mainstream media won't report on it. That's primarily what will happen. And those of us that have long suspected that politicians can be acquired through money will continue to believe that, and people that sort of just want things to basically stay the same won't bother to interrogate the subject. Together, BlackRock and Vanguard own 18% of Fox News. Perhaps that's why it's not getting covered. 16% of CBS, 13% of Comcast, which owns NBC, MSNBC, and CNBC. So the very fact that those three entities are owned by one conglomeration is interesting, isn't it? And the Sky Media Group, that's in our country. 12% of CNN, 12% of Disney. That's a considerable amount of media influence. Is that too much? When we talk about duopolies in politics and big tech, when we talk about monopolies, when we talk about globalism, do you imagine that this is a contributory factor? Are you surprised by these revelations? And let us know what your questions are for James O'Keefe. He'll be turning up here. He's probably warming up his voice even now, gargling salt water, getting ready to bang out some show tunes for us. What do you want to? Have you got something to say about all of this, Gareth? Is this?
It gets really interesting when he starts talking about the war in Ukraine as well.
Oh, he's going to talk about the war in Ukraine now, because that it's one thing turning a profit from a little bit of corruption and buying domestic politicians. I think most of us assume that's the case already. We're weary with their corruption. But if wars are being created, provoked, prolonged in order to generate profit, is that a big story? Should we care? Have you lost the ability to care? Do you care?
No, no questions asked.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. It's done.
Does everybody do that? Does BlackRock do that?
It doesn't matter who wins.
They're still going.
They're in my pocket at this point. Ukraine.
I'm in charge of the government, actually. I'm in control of this. See these chopsticks of mine? I use that to control government. He's gotten a bit carried away.
You haven't got a pocket.
Where's that? Is that even a pocket? Who has got a pocket? The journalist you're talking to. Everything is being recorded. Oh, I do feel sorry for that because he's just presumably a normal sort of low-level drone worker recruiting for BlackRock. This is not the epicenter of global corruption here. It's just one of the many denizens of a habitat of pure corruption that all of us know exists by now.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's reporting on the culture, not about his just singular behaviour.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Hortez. Is that his name? The fella that won't debate RFK, even after he's not heard about my 10 quid yet. That's not what's important. What's important is a culture of censorship, a culture of surveillance, a culture of smearing dissenters. That's what's significant. You can't target individuals. What's the point? Is that we're talking about systemic change here.
It's good for business. You know, right? I'll give an example. Russia blows up Ukraine's grain silos. Price of wheat's going to go mad up. Ukrainian economy is tied very largely to the wheat market, global wheat market. Prices of bread, literally everything it goes up and down. This is fantastic if you're trading. Volatility creates opportunity to make profit. War is real good for business. It's exciting when goes wrong.
People in the chat are disgusted. Pride Folks says he's talking about the destruction of people here. Firegirl 2020. This guy's like in kindergarten, but I'm glad the youth are catching on. Oh, you've known this for ages, didn't you? You lot. In a way, it's sort of surprising that that's the sort of stuff he chats about on dates. But who here is surprised by that? Let me know in the chat if this is an astonishing revelation or if these are the kind of things you've long assumed, if you've known since basically the 1960s, that the state operates on behalf of corporate interests. It's a trend that's been getting worse and worse, and you can track it through various administrations till we reach this point. Corporate gigantism, where democracy becomes almost redundant, where there's no trust in any institutions at all. Not media, not government, not electoral, democracy itself. Are you surprised by these revelations? Do you believe these revelations? What do you say to when people offer the assessment that BlackRock and Vanguard are such vast financial entities that comprise so many disparate investments that to regard them as a sort of solid conglomerate in the same way you might something like Facebook or Alphabet or whatever is a sort of a misdiagnosis? What is the significance of BlackRock's power, and what is the significance of the revelations this young man has made?
Well, BlackRock is so significant that when you actually search this video, which this video has hundreds of thousands of likes, tens of millions of views, it's trending on Twitter, you can't actually find the video on Google. And maybe you say, well, Google, BlackRock owns 6.5% of Google. That's 45 billion of a $1.5 trillion market cap. I didn't even realize how powerful they were. When I did that Pfizer story, I didn't realize that if you look at the equity owners of Fox News, and the equity owners of Pfizer, BlackRock owns a significant share of that. With Fox Corporation, it's 18.4%. Disney, 12%. You point out Comcast, 13%. I mean, they can, and this guy says it. He says, you take this, quote, big fuck ton of money and you buy people and you buy senators for relatively little money, $10,000. That surprised me. That's not a lot of money to buy a senator. But he says all the things that we suspect to be true. And I think it is waking people up. I think little by little it is.
Stay free with Russell Brand. See it first on Rumble.